This meeting will now commence at 6:02 p.m. The first order of business is roll call. May we please commence roll call?
Student trustee Mall,
Present.
President Nida Manuri,
Present.
Vice President Kasowski,
Present.
Chief of Staff Donners,
Present.
Speaker of the House Taylor, Treasurer Hack, Chairperson Petineo,
Here.
Chairperson Guerrero, Graphic Designer Mac,
Present.
and then web administrator, oh my gosh, web administrator Selvaraj has an excused absence. Chairperson Almendras,
Present.
Chairperson Fernandez,
Present.
Representative Lamisa Khan,
Present.
Representative Nguyen,
Present.
Representative Sarah Khan, Representative Sarah Khan absent.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Present, okay. Representative Sarah Malik. Okay, roll call's done.
So reading and approval of the minutes, please take this time to read over the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
I would like to make an amendment.
Okay,
I would like to make an amendment for the report for student trustee. So due to the fact the acoustics were a little bit off in the last we were in, it was a little bit hard to hear. So the amendment I would like to make, I will read out loud. There was no report other than an update that the last Board of Trustees meeting at Chicago was sworn in to other student trustees.
hold on.
Hold on.
Okay, report instead of an update. Okay, continue.
Oh, yes, he was sworn in with two other student trustees from Urbana and Springfield. And in addition to this, he is assigned to serve on two committees for the academic and student affairs and university healthcare system by Chairman Donald J. Edwards. And
Okay,
that if there are any questions, just reach out to them.
okay. Are there any more amendments? Okay, so there has been a motion to change the minutes so that their report from the student trustee is not necessarily a report, but it's an update, and he was sworn in with two other student trustees from IU and Springfield. And then I will get the rest from Danya after. Do you have that written down?
Yes, that is
Okay.
all written down.
Great. Here we go. Okay, does anyone oppose? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Hi. Hi.
All that oppose, please say nay. Okay, the ayes have it. The motion has passed. Next, we will move on to the reading and approval of the agenda. Please take this time to read over the agenda. Are there any corrections to the agenda? Okay, if not, the agenda will stand as approved. Next order of business is public comment. Is there any public comment? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the next order of business is guest speakers, and we have no guest speakers today. With that, we don't have any old business as well, so we will move on to new business. First, we have resolution 2021 F2 1000. Vice President Arthur, may you please introduce this?
Hello, everyone. I'll introduce. So whereas the Constitution and bylaws are the foundation of this body, and whereas these documents need revision to ensure that undergraduate student government can run more efficiently, let it be resolved that the undergraduate student government will ratify and adopt the attached revised Constitution and bylaws that each member in USG will sign their names on, or will sign their names to the Constitution to signify their approval of these documents. And the third whereas was something I forgot to delete, but below it are all well, the changes were all highlighted for you all to see, and I did email them to everyone here before the meeting packet was sent. So I hope everyone looked at it. But besides that, I open the floor for questions.
Summarize some of the changes.
Sure. Let me go start with the bylaws then. Can I use this? All right, so for bylaws, the biggest change that we made were the committees. So me, Anshu, John, we really worked to really make the committees more structured, more defined is the best way I'll put it. Really making sure that each committee has a mission to it. Plus, we added the web administrator and the graphic designer as well. So I'm not sure if you guys are interested in me going over those exact responsibilities. No, yeah, like that, everybody read that, right? So
Definitely make sure to read what your specific committee says if you're committee chair.
and chairs.
Yeah, and just to say that also the guidebooks that we're still working on, those are going to be binding as well. So in the constitution or in the bylaws, it does mention that in addition to the responsibilities, the main responsibilities are outlined under each committee, but the guidebooks will also be binding. And so like other responsibilities that are included for more of the nitty gritty and stuff like that, that will also need to be looked at and everything. So yeah, just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. That's the biggest change, I would say. The second biggest change, I'll finish the bylaws really. Let's see. Yeah, the guidebooks, we did that. Article 6. Powers and responsibilities. We kind of made just president, VP, and chief of staff just kind of changed some wording, but overall, it's still the same for the most part. Let's see, going down. Secretary. I guess I should mention this, but for secretary, I mentioned that the secretary would be in charge of maintaining and monitoring the USG Gala when we start planning it out. But I did say as well that the secretary will still have my assistance or the assistance of other e-board members if necessary. Going down. Okay, that was the bylaws. Now the Constitution. Let's see, going down.
Can you share your screen so everyone knows?
Oh yeah. What's the next one?
It's disabled. Who's the host?
Tanya, are you the host? Is it on
You can
your
type
board?
in Danya.
Are you just gonna share it?
Should be that one. This is meeting too.
It's on page 25 of the packet.
Everybody can see it? Okay, nice. So then, let's see, membership. So Article 2. So this was highlighted here, and the main point that was that we changed would have been the second point under elections, which is about the role of conducting fair and impartial student government elections will be then designated to the government. I think we changed a couple of wordings, but overall stayed the same. Stayed the same. Going down. Okay, executive authority. So in the Constitution, we decided to create the term of an executive team. So everybody probably has some questions about that, but overall, as me and Anshu and John kind of see it, we're kind of thinking of the executive team as really making sure that the executive branch can function more structurally and we hope more efficiently. So we kind of we're grouping not co-equally, obviously, because it'll still be the president, VP, and chief of staff. However, we're also kind of like ensuring that the role of a chief of staff is more of a prominent role and can help really make sure that the executive branch as a whole can function, and really below that, the cabinet can really function and really know, like, hey, like if I really need assistance, like we can go to the chief of staff who they know is really much more closer to like Anshu. Oh yeah, that. So we're going down. What is it? Chief of staff. Oh yeah, so and some small changes to chief of staff. So yeah. So then the strike policy, right, will go solely to chief of staff, and we also decided to add a fourth strike. So the first strike, if a chief of staff will, or if they do need to strike a cabinet member or anybody else, it would reduce 20% of their stipend. Second one, 50%. Third one, 100%. And then the fourth one would start an impeachment process, which I'll get to shortly. But we believe by just striking 100% of their stipend on the third strike, it will probably save us a lot more time and really removing a person if need be. And of course, the causes of strike are down there: unfulfillment of constitutional duties, attendance, failure to follow the handbook. What else? And some of the more like mathematical, like how much you need to vote. It's all there. Going down, impeachment. Okay, so this is one that I worked on along with John, Anshu, and to the extent Michael and Matthew. So before, like when you read the articles of impeachment, I thought it was very vague. Yes, it said that anybody could start an impeachment, but it didn't really specify like how. So then I'm going to go step by step with it then. Okay, so impeachment process can be started by a member of the legislative branch following a majority vote in favor or on a fourth strike from a chief of staff. Fourth strike starts the impeachment process, and impeachment is defined as a process by which a member levels charges against an executive or legislative member, which initiates a removal from office. If an executive board member is being impeached, they will be suspended from their role and responsibilities, and the next person below them will inherit their roles and responsibilities until I'm going to say the trial of the defendant is determined. So then when this happens, by the executive team, but by Anshu really, an impeachment judicial rules ad hoc committee will form and will be activated and chosen randomly and anonymously by the president and speaker of the house using a non-discriminatory selection process. When the impeachment process begins, one representative from each established committee will make up this ad hoc committee, and once formed, they will come together themselves and decide who will be their chairperson temporarily, who will be known as the justice chair, to represent the voice of this ad hoc committee. And if they can't decide, or if there's like a tie vote, that vote will be broken by throwing the vote to the House floor, where everybody besides the two candidates, or how many candidates there are, will vote and will be determined by majority vote. And upon the formation of a judicial ad hoc committee, each representative shall take the following oath before the legislative branch, which is over there. Not sure if you want me to read it, but it's over there. You can read it yourself. And if the Speaker of the President is being impeached, then the nearest next in line successor shall be in charge of forming the Judicial Ad Hoc Committee and inheriting any related responsibilities and powers to it. And examples of charges include misuse of funds, a lack of fulfilling constitutional duties, or failure to fulfill committee responsibilities. And the complainant, though, or the individual who initiates the impeachment, will draft a written complaint and present it to the USG advisor. The advisor then will present the complaint to the president or the nearest successor if the president is being impeached or unavailable. The respondent or the individual who is being impeached will have 3 days to formally respond in writing to the complaint and send it to the USG advisor. If the respondent fails to respond within 3 days, the respondent will be removed immediately. Once the complaint has been sent and the respondent has responded to the complaint, the Ad Hoc Judicial Rules Committee will assemble and will schedule an internal investigation meeting as soon as possible. A written report must be finished before the next meeting and presented to any member of the executive team before the start of the trial. At the earliest available USG meeting, an impeachment hearing will be heard. At this hearing, the complainant, respondent, and the Ad Hoc Rules Committee will each have 5 minutes to present their case. The report will be made public by the start of the trial. The order of presentation shall begin with the complainant, the respondent, and the Ad Hoc Committee. After each 5 minute speaking period, 2 minutes of questioning will be allowed to the opposite party. Then 5 minutes will be allowed to the assembly for questions and public comment. After all sides have presented, a vote will take place by the entire House of Representatives. This will include those who are part of the Ad Hoc Committee. Executive members cannot vote, nor can the complainant or the respondent. 2/3 of all present voting members is required for the impeachment to pass. And below it, if we choose to adopt everything here, everybody will sign their names. Besides that, I open the floor for questions.
Questions over redoing the entire constitution.
Sorry, what was that question?
So we're redoing the constitution, not making changes.
There are changes.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
The highlighted portions are changes.
we're signing a new constitution right now.
Yeah, when we
Yeah.
make amendments, everyone has to sign it
mhm.
if we change anything.
Sorry to prolong things, but I wanted to, I guess, see what everybody's opinion is on potentially altering, like making a slight change to the impeachment process so that you're not suspended from your duties during the hearings. Because if you look at actually, the process takes a couple of weeks. And I actually thought that we had removed that part. I don't know. It seems like somebody could just bring up articles of impeachment just to like slow things down, because like basically if you have to step aside, you'll step aside for at least 2 weeks. And I don't know, do you guys think that it should stay that way, or do you guys think that you should still be able to conduct your duties while the impeachment trial is going on?
I think because of these, like, if someone's being impeached for these reasons, they shouldn't have the right to at least, like, without being monitored at
Mhm.
least. If someone misuses their funds or something, for them to still have like all their rights for those while the process is going on, and then they end up actually being suspended. Like the members that are, sorry, for the committee chairs, that we have like next person in our company who becomes our
Like the deputy chair?
deputy chair. What did the deputy chair assume responsibility of that if during the trial? And that's just an idea, because I also.
I think that's
I don't know.
current.
That's the next person in line with,
That would be.
yes.
Because like my point was just that there's no like each impeachment, like if it's brought, needs to be like its merits need to be like worked out. And so somebody could in theory bring frivolous articles of impeachment, and you still are suspended for those 2 weeks until you're acquitted. So that's
Oh,
my
okay,
point,
so-
is that like maybe to protect the person, like Kayla kind of said, like maybe they just are under closer like monitoring by either like,
Okay, well,
you know, president or speaker or
I know
something.
this is just like a scenario, but like, what would be like a false, like, impeachment just to like slow us down? What would be,
Say I just get mad at you.
yeah, I know that, but like, what reason could they bring up?
I mean, they could say, you know, like I said, like, there is no, like to prevent like, you know, somebody from just tossing something out, like, no matter what you like put, like, you could claim that they misused funds. At the end of the day, they really didn't, but that still needs to be investigated, because if you can just throw it out, then that means that you
How-
can
how
just
about-
knock away any accusation against you, and so.
How about, when we do an impeachment, we'll add as a separate thing in the agenda. And then the person can present its case, and people can vote whether to proceed to a trial or not. Like the representatives can vote, yes, we can proceed to a trial and form the ad hoc committee. And if they vote no, no ad hoc committee will be.
Well, that's. I mean,
Still be on trial, but maybe the USG advisory decides if that person, like, during the trial stays. Because the advisory is the one that's gonna be receiving the complaints and the response. So
I
maybe
think-
the advisor decides if the person stays in power for the 2 weeks of the trial. or not.
I mean, if there's no reason for there to be a trial, I feel like they just shouldn't. be a trial.
And that would be up to the advisor. So we should proceed.
Because we're talking about, a person has to bring a valid case to bring up to all of us. That guy has to have, you know, strong reason to bring up. And, you know, even if it's a lie, it has to be a valid lie. Right?
No, yeah, no, you're right.
And
That's convincing to some extent.
And it does say that impeachment process can be started by a member of the legislative branch following a majority vote in favor. So that would be after.
so if we are worried about someone that bring up false pretenses, I think we should just say something about the evidence in which they have to present.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what that could mean, because obviously there's like, can't be like email, I'm not sure if that violates privacy, but like, I think we have to look at the trial itself. It's,
Questions or responses? How do you want to
Vote on
proceed
this
with
next
this?
week. Next week, then?
We could just, I mean, it seems like everybody's kind of okay with the version now then, because we have to vote on it to initiate it in the first place, and everybody, like, do you guys think that they should be able to operate? I guess it's the question. Like, do you guys think they should be able to operate, or? No, I guess, you know, if everybody thinks they, you know, shouldn't be able to operate, then we can just, you know, pass it then. That's just kind of the question I wanted to ask everyone.
I mean, if it ever happens for someone who's like, let's just say, go back to us. Let's do that.
Do you think it's fine now?
Yeah, it
Okay.
should be fine.
We're thinking about the person can't operate.
No, they currently cannot.
Okay, that's
Also, because, you know, I mentioned the whole succession thing, I forgot to mention that one big change for chief of staff is that chief of staff will be having a deputy chief of staff to help out with needs with the chief of staff. So
Or if they disappear, because that was part of the issues that in the past, the chief of staff, like chief of staffs have. Or at least once before a chief of staff disappeared, and so there's an issue of, well, who takes over then, and so, yeah.
Okay, are there any more questions or comments?
I'll move to use an executive order to vote on this tonight.
Okay. There has been the president has moved to make sorry, guys. The president has moved to make this resolution an executive order, so we will vote on this today. All those in favor for adopting resolution 2021 F2 1000, please say aye.
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 All of those in favor, all those that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? Okay, with that, resolution 2021 F2 1000 has passed. Next, we'll move on to our next resolution, which is resolution 2021 F2 1001. Vice President Arthur, may you please introduce this?
Second resolution. Let's go. Okay. Whereas the undergraduate student government executive branch is an active and vital branch that is managed by the executive cabinet and requires officers to assist in managing it. And whereas the undergraduate student government must be led by the president, vice president, and executive cabinet, these officers must officially be sworn in and dedicate themselves to this body and be dedicated to executing the mission of their assigned roles. Then whereas it is the legislative branch's duty to confirm any executive appointed position as laid out in the Constitution under Article 4.03 of Powers and Responsibilities, let it be resolved that all executive appointed officers shall be confirmed and be given the ability to properly execute their assigned duties and represent their assigned positions properly. Let it be further resolved that each confirmed officer, in addition to the president and vice president, shall take the following oath as laid out in the Constitution or under Article 2.03 of oath. And I open the floor for questions.
All right, are there any questions?
I move to use an executive order to vote on this tonight.
Okay, the president has moved to make this resolution an executive order, so we will vote on this today. All those in favor of adopting resolution 2021 F2 1001, please say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? Okay, with that, the resolution has passed. And I will be presenting the oath to you guys, so please repeat after me. All committee chairs, chief of staff, vice president, president, and treasurer, you guys will be, and secretary, all of you guys will be, everyone except representatives will be repeating after me, okay? I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the students of University of Illinois at Chicago
that I will support the University of Chicago,
that I will serve students faithfully and trustfully,
that I will serve students faithfully and truthfully,
and that I will uphold, protect, and preserve
that I will uphold, protect, and preserve
the Constitution and standing rules of the undergraduate student government.
the Constitution and standards of the undergraduate student government.
Good job, guys. Yay. Okay. And finally, we have resolution 2021 F2 800. Treasurer Mohammed, may you please introduce this?
Oh, sure. Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me just fine? You're good? Yeah. Okay. So everyone can hear me, just right? Just one check. Okay. Good. So this is a very basic resolution. Whereas the USG has a designated space at Student Center East for our operations and for our members. And whereas it is pretty much important to have refreshments available for them, for anyone who comes by our office, be it e-board members, advisors, or representative. So let me resolve that we'll allocate up to $200 to purchase coffee, creamers, sugar packets, and miscellaneous snacks for our use. So yeah, that's the whole resolution. We could either, if you want to use an executive order, we could vote on it tonight.
Great, okay. Are there any questions? We'll vote on this tonight, so are there any final questions?
I have a question. What type of snacks are we buying?
We'll vote on it. Send out a form.
Do a whole survey.
Yeah, we'll do a form to get food allergies and everything too. Make sure we're accommodating people.
Goldfish that do the 2019.
Sarah has a question. Sarah has a question.
Sarah.
Yes, I went to the USG office today and I did not see a fridge there. Is there any sort of fridge that USG members can use?
Yeah, there's a fridge upstairs. You might have missed it.
Did you
but-
see that?
Oh, there is, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's a big fridge too. Are there any more questions? Okay.
I move to use an executive order to vote on this tonight.
Okay, the president has moved to make this resolution an executive order. All those in favor of adopting resolution 2021 F2800, please say aye.
Aye.
All that opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? Okay, the ayes have it and this resolution has passed. Next, we'll move on to our items for discussion. Our first item is representative point system. Arthur, would you like to discuss this?
I would.
All right. Hello, everyone. So this is my item of discussion, a representative point system draft. Now this isn't anything new. So I dug it up. I went through the past under agenda minutes, spring 2019 meeting packet number 7. I found an old dusty, I guess, point system that used to be here in USG, but from what I understand, disappeared when the pandemic hit and we were all forced to go online. And if you're curious to see like the original, which I do have a printed copy of it, but it's if you go on the website, agenda and minutes, spring 2019 meeting packet number 7. Okay, but it's something that I'm interested in bringing back. However, I would like to have a discussion with everybody in the e-board and with the reps especially. So I guess I'll read my little paragraph. A representative percentage / point system will be implemented in USG since we are now transitioning back to in-person activities. The point system has been used in USG at least as far back as the year I mentioned. The purpose of it was to ensure that USG could hold quorum and in turn, as many possible USG assembly meetings per semester. If you go back, you'll see that they only held 8 assembly meetings that semester because they have a huge problem not getting quorum sometimes.
That's actually the minimum amount.
Is it?
Yeah, we just misread it. Just keep reading.
Oh, whatever. I remember reading that in the original resolution saying.
We did have that problem a couple times, so
Okay,
that wasn't
has
the
nothing
reason
to
for
do
the
with
number
me.
of meetings, but we did have
so there was a problem.
Yeah,
Okay,
just separate.
okay. I guess whatever. Not the historian, but so by implementing a USG point system, we can continue functioning to the best of our abilities and encourage representatives to stay engaged within USG. A point system will not only keep USG assembly meetings full and engaged, it will also provide representatives with the ability to learn more about what it means to be a rep, to empower USG, keep it active, and to learn more about what their own abilities and powers within USG are, and also overall within UIC. Or to learn more about the community and to learn valuable leadership skills expected from all members of USG. Therefore, let it be known that this system would be included under Article 12 of the bylaws, since we will now also be receiving new representatives, or no, since we'll now also be receiving new representatives, it'll be important to let them know that there will be both expectations and leadership opportunities for them as representatives of UIC, of the UIC body to take part in. As laid out in the original, there was a mandatory chart, and this is the basics really: attending USG meetings, attending committee meetings, attending any sort of mandatory outside meetings. So that would be like the leadership, the orientation, or Speaker of the House check-ins, or schedule, or, and this is something a little bit new, but scheduled meetings with either the Speaker, VP, Chief of Staff, or President. you would only really have to do this 3 times. But you could do it more often if you want. Um, and in this formula, the mathematical formula I'm using, um, which I'm still working on, but the way you do it, first semester, there would be a 100 point maximum you could reach. You would need to earn at least 2/3 or 67% of the points offered. And I'm kind of thinking of perhaps doing it sort of like a grade system. So like in order to uh, be part of or to stay in USG for the semester, you would have to get at least like a D. But if you go over that, well then perhaps through like a reward or it could be like an achievement for you. But I'm still kind of working on a better formula perhaps. But to add on, right? So additional activities, which are the non-mandatory ones, but highly recommended that you take part in. So you could chief sponsor resolution, co-sponsor one, attend USG sponsored events like town halls, conventions, get-together events, anything related to that. Visit the office or an honorary engagement point system where like if we see that you're speaking, raising your hand, we'll give you a point. The purpose was to ensure forum, encourage representatives to stay engaged and network with other members of USG and the UIC community, opportunities to become more active and involved with other UIC organizations, and overall the ability to obtain leadership, planning, organization, and teamwork skills. And so everything below that was, for the most part, a copy and paste of the original. So they'll be required. So representatives would then have to be required to document their activities and present them to either the speaker or the committee chairperson. To ensure that USG rep is on track, a percentage will be randomly checked during USG meetings. Failure to have completed 50% or at least a healthy level of point system, which if we do continue or if we do decide to go with this, I will work to define better. Of total activities offered by that point will result in a meeting with the Speaker of the House, or if need be, your dismissal as a USG rep. You may appeal to this decision to the Speaker or the President, or the Speaker, and then the President and the Speaker will have the final say. Most activities will be documented by either the Speaker, interim Speaker, committee chairperson, or the Deputy Chair. Activity log will be created and updated regularly. Proof of activity will have to be proven via screenshot, sign-in sheet, or picture. So like that's more like if you're attending an outside event. And as a reward, those with like the highest percentage, or those who do have the highest cumulative percentages, will receive a reward that is to be determined by the speaker, collaboration with the cabinet at the end of the school year. But this is something that I thought would be interesting to bring back since we are all coming back in person. However, I do realize that there's still a pandemic, right? But I'm interested in really hearing what everybody has to say about this. And I open the floor for discussion.
Yeah, do we have any questions or comments? Or suggestions?
Yeah. Especially if you're a representative, like tell me what you think about this. Any critiques, or what do you like about it, what do you hate about it, you name it.
Yeah, this would affect you guys primarily, so.
I have a question.
Yep.
So how do you know if like you're at a healthy level of poise, like during a random meeting or something?
As it was said in the original, it said at least 50% of the activities completed at that point. Like track, how do we track them? Oh, well, through an activity log, which you would then present to either the speaker, chairperson, or the deputy chairperson. And now that the way I imagine it, it would be an Excel sheet that the cabinet would use. I'm not sure how it was done in the past. Maybe if somebody here does know, please,
I believe it was on an Excel. The same.
I think one of the biggest struggles last year too, like when we had it, is that we didn't really know how many points we had. That was something that the speaker like inputted. So it wasn't like as interactive because you didn't know, oh, I just got 2 more, 3 more. So if we do implement it, that's something that we should definitely give like editing power should be for like the speaker, like the cabinet member, especially the speaker or the secretary maybe. But everyone should have access to see like, oh, I just got another one to make it like fun.
I think if we do that, they'll also have access to see what other people are doing. I think representatives should be able to just contact Kayla and request for how many for how many points they have.
I know we also talked about sending weekly updates.
Yeah, or
like-
quarterly.
Yeah,
updates or
like
something.
about, just an email about like, this is how many points you're at, stuff like that, every week or something.
I wanted to say that I think, I mean, now obviously I helped Arthur with this, but I also do think that we should still try and like troubleshoot it a bit more because we didn't have a huge amount of time, and like I would just prefer to make sure that like somebody can't game the system and like, just go to a bunch of like very unimportant things and end up still passing. I guess I want to make sure that like we make sure it's mathematically sound and that it actually does what we want it to do. And so I don't know if anybody has any ideas regarding that, just because, like I said, I feel like, things are weighted correctly, but we haven't tested it too much, so.
Yeah, so, I mean, we already have a spreadsheet of like the attendance as well, as like for attending meetings as well as for when officers send in their reports, if they come in late or not. I feel like by the end of the week, the chairperson should give like an activity log to either speaker, the secretary, or whoever, and then we keep it on that Excel sheet. And then we could do like weekly, quarterly meetings where we would have individual meetings with like, with the members, do like a follow-up. There's like a more efficient way to do this, so it speeds up time. But it would just kind of be like a one-on-one meeting saying like, hey, you're doing good, keep it up, or hey, you need to do so-and-so to better do this, maybe like give them ideas if they're struggling with that. Yeah, definitely not access to everyone. I think that is definitely
And
lower their self-esteem with that.
and just as a suggestion, like I don't think we should like with these sort of like, hey, just tell me how many points you have. We should give like a Zoom option, right? Because like they expect people to like some of you may be commuting,
We'll be
right?
accommodating, yeah.
Yeah. Overall, what does everyone think so far about that?
Reps. Are there any more questions or comments?
Or like, hey, I got one more question, right? Because I said that, because like I want to like not make this into, what was that? I don't want this to become like a part-time job because most of us are working, like I'm working, right? So I don't want this to feel like a job. I feel like yes, we are sort of like an institution, but we're also a club, right? And well, we're in the middle ground between an institution and a club is the way I see it. And part of USG is to encourage people to learn leadership skills, to network with other peers and really just other ambitious people, because I think that's what USG does succeed at, is inviting ambitious people. So, and I mentioned that, those with the highest cumulative percentages will receive an award. Kind of like curious, like how would you kind of like envision that reward being, or like how can we better incentivize it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. What do we think about this potentially turning into like a competition amongst representatives? Not that we're encouraging that, but are we?
I would, maybe that's an unintended consequence,
Right.
but I wouldn't want it to
Factor for
be,
new representatives?
sorry?
Could it be a potential like intimidation factor for new representatives? So that look, these people are doing this much. And for someone who might be busy with USG, they might think, well, I can't do that much and they're doing that much, so I might as well not join.
So
Could
you,
that be a potential factor? Or,
Like,
like,
I can see
unintended
that.
consequences?
it reads out the week.
Well, it won't be public though, so they'd have
Yeah.
to tell somebody else their score for that to happen.
Right, right.
Yeah,
So, and I'm assuming this will continue every year.
like I would still want everybody to get a reward for even like completing the point system. right? So
Yeah, we should probably just go to the gala.
Would that be a little bit if we have like a small group and I think gets like a good amount of points instead of having like 1 to like 3 pot? Because then I think I'll like help everyone and encourage everyone to do that.
Well, it is part of their reward is the gala at the end for everyone. Like I'm not saying the highest like earners in terms of points, but you know, if you're in good standing, you get to go to the gala, and that's a pretty big reward, if you ask me. And you also get the merch.
You guys, 3 more minutes for this.
sorry, in my text? Or is it, what's this?
That's just having a
Okay, so
I mean, you guys can email us point this week or next week, like if you guys want to anonymously tell us like your
Yeah.
input on the point system. This isn't a resolution, so we don't have to like stress over it right now.
Mhm.
But we're just brainstorming it. So if you guys have any ideas that come up throughout the week, just feel free to email Arthur.
Last question, I have one more question. When you plan on implementing this after the new reps are voted in? I assume.
That I'm kind of still thinking about because, yes, I do want to, I would want to present it as a resolution once the new reps are presented. But I'm kind of still thinking or debating if it should be like implemented this semester officially or next semester officially. But I'm still thinking about it.
I think personally we should do it before the new reps join because, as I've mentioned to you, Arthur, before, yeah, I mean, it's like if you signed up for like an internship or something, and then your boss said to you, okay, now that you already have the job, do you want more responsibilities or less, you know? And so I think that it's best to just have it be the baseline, and we can amend it if, you know, we need to change it for next semester, you know, we can kind of test it out, see how it works. But I think most people will typically not, you know, vote for, you know, things that'll hold them more accountable, you know, and so I
Okay.
think that it's best if we just start out with that as the baseline.
Okay, let's move on. Next on our business is gonna be ex officio reports. May we please have the report of the advisor?
Sure. Good to see everybody. Nice to be present in the room. Good to see everyone's faces, probably for the first time. I will say that, you know, a lot of stuff has happened on campus. You've probably seen some notifications coming specifically related to COVID-19 vaccinations and university informing students this past week that we're turning on Blackboard access on campus who are unvaccinated. And it has caused a big rush of students concern in our office this week. And we've been working you guys closely. There are lots of other things the university.
Are there any questions?
Oh, I guess so that they can hear it as well. So I wanted to ask you, you mentioned that there's been like a rush of students, supporting it, rush of students worried about it. What's the consensus there?
Yeah, so those students that are in the category of being either unvaccinated or having undisclosed their vaccination status and still coming to campus are clearly concerned about their access to Blackboard being cut off at the end of the week. And while it is unfortunate that many of these students have not been paying emails and notifications, and they're asking for more time. We had from May, the first announcement came out until August 23rd to do these things. We then extended it again for another week. We extended it again if you didn't do them, and now you're concerned. So I think unfortunately this is where the stick becomes more important than the carrot. And folks are only responding. It's not great. It's not what Now, I do think there are some students in some categories that have some valid concerns and questions. A lot of our international population who receive vaccinations, it's not approved by the FDA. They've been told that they have to take an FDA approved vaccination. And that has some health concerns, certainly. And the person who's answering one of these emails, I don't have a medical background. And I can't. They have to consult with a physician and make a decision for themselves about what's the best. But again, they also take the same time because Friday is Friday. Why? Or their body was that.
Is there any sort of grace period for those who may have registered, like, let's say like Friday or something like that, and so they didn't like receive that information, like who registered late, who might not have known?
Yeah, that situation itself is not come up yet.
Like, is it a case by case thing or?
In a lot of ways, it's really a blanket, but we will look at all cases as they come forward. But anybody who's been going to classes since August 3rd, and by the end of this week, when it's September 10th, that's been 8 days since we started classes. About this role, and we notified last week of it's 2 weeks to try to correct the status, or at least to apply for the medical release. And wait for the last minute to hope that the university does not make it. That's just not the case. The university is paying attention. Students who reported to campus today who are unvaccinated or unexposed.
Okay.
Kind of wondering how this compares with other universities.
I have no idea.
Thank
I've
you.
not had a chance to unbury myself in my own email, to look at other universities.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make, so the requirement of the university is like what they need to do, that they need to say if they have in fact, they have to disclose their vaccination status, right?
Right,
Or
so
do
that,
they have to be, sorry, or do they have to be vaccinated to be able to come to?
both are true. So all students are expected to disclose their vaccination status. That was an expectation, regardless of what category you're in. We're supposed to have done that by August 23rd. I think we are now down to 1,600 students. Like I said, anything. Students who have disclosed that they are vaccinated, fully vaccinated, they're fine. No worries, no concerns. Students who have received 1 dose of vaccination or intend to be vaccinated have to submit for the saliva testing until they are considered fully vaccinated category, which would be 14 days post their second dose. Students who have disclosed that they are applying for a medical and religious exemption have been given instructions to do that, and I don't know the process of how long those are taking. I know they're in the queue of being reviewed, but I could not tell you who's reviewing them or how the decisions are being made. But they are being reviewed. And they also can continue with the saliva testing. Any student who is unvaccinated and does not intend to be vaccinated should not come to campus. Otherwise, they risk losing their Blackboard status. The university has stated very clearly that if you choose to be unvaccinated, then you also should make sure that you can do your coursework in a completely remote status, and not need to access on-campus resources.
And then I do have like a follow-up question that is like how we operate. So I know that also includes like not only Blackboard, but they're not supposed to be like on campus doing activities. So for example, when we are recruiting new members and whenever we have meetings in person, we should be requesting their daily pass before they enter.
Yes, so anybody who is coming to an in-person meeting should be able to show you their daily pass.
And they have to be green, right?
Yes.
Not
Yes.
yellow.
If they are, if they're green, if their top is green, which I believe is their vaccinated status, The yellow would then be they are not fully vaccinated and they have to submit for their saliva testing. And yellow would be you haven't done that. So you need to do that twice within that period. So yes, if they intend to come to an in-person meeting, and be vaccinated, have an exemption, or be in the process of being vaccinated.
And in terms of logistics for us, can any one of us ask like
Sure.
someone coming in for a meeting that, or?
I
is it
believe that
certain-
you could, as
Okay.
an organization, that's your right to say, hey, are you clear? And again, the number, as a percentage wise, there's 34,000 students total on this list, right? We're at 1,600. We're on this list. We about 200. So it's not a large percentage, but the 1,600 who are undisclosed on campus are putting at risk their access to that.
So if somebody does get a religious or medical exemption, they're not allowed to come to campus then?
No, they
or-
are. They have to do their twice weekly.
Okay.
saliva testing. Yes.
Okay, so that means if we ask somebody and if they do have an exemption, then would their daily pass then be green because they're doing their saliva test?
As long as they've done their saliva testing, then they won't be needed.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Are there any more questions? Okay, thank you. With that, the report of the advisor will be filed. Next, we have the report of the student trustee. Is there a report for a student trustee?
There
Okay.
is. I will be reading it on behalf of the student. Hello, my fellow student leaders. It's fall and we have our sights set on a semester which brought us back to campus life that was disrupted by a global pandemic. Still, as President Tim said, that the virus and its variants have taught us to expect the unexpected. So we will stay on our toes, prepared to tweak or even overhaul our plans as needed to ensure the safety of our campus committees. I want to share with you all that I got sworn in the July meeting which held at Chicago campus along with 2 other student trustees from Urbana and Springfield. Governor Pritzker assigned Springfield student trustee Austin Beerstein with the official vote. Every year, one student trustee gets the assigned official vote and it goes with turn for instance. Last year, student trustee from Chicago University had the official vote. I want to proudly share that we voted to establish UI system liaison, an office in New Delhi, India, and a branch in Bengaluru. University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign alumni Vivek Davli will be board's authorized representative in India. As of the BOT says, India is already one of the top countries of origin of international students for the 3 UI system universities and is also home to more than 2,200 alumni, as well as a number of academic and other partners. Board of Trustees are planning to approve one more liaison office like this in Mexico as well. The board also voted yes on these affairs regarding UIC as follows. Appoint provost and vice chancellor for academic affairs, University of Illinois, Chicago. Award honorary degree in Chicago. Appoint dean, College of Education, Chicago. Appoint acting dean, Graduate College, Chicago. Establish the Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts and Sciences, major in Global Asian Studies, College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, Chicago. Establish the Bachelor of Science in Real Estate, College of Business Administration, Chicago. Establish the Bachelor of Science in Environmental Engineering, College of Engineering, Chicago. Eliminate the City Design Center, College of Architecture, Design and the Arts, Chicago. Consolidate, rename, and revise the Master of Science in Anatomy and Cell Biology, Master of Science in Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, Master of Science in Cellular and Molecular Pharmacology, Master of Science in Microbiology and Immunology, Master of Science in Pathology, and Master of Science in Physiology and Biophysics, College of Medicine, and Graduate College, Chicago. Consolidate, rename, and revise the Doctor of Philosophy in Anatomy and Cell Biology, Doctor of Philosophy in Biochemistry and Molecular Genetics, Doctor of Philosophy in Cellular and Molecular Pharmacology, Doctor of Philosophy in Microbiology and Immunology, Doctor of Philosophy in Pathology, and Doctor of Philosophy in Physiology and Biophysics, College of Medicine, and Graduate College, This concludes my report, as I am currently not present. If any of you have any sort of question, you can feel free to reach out. With best regards, Leslie.
Great, Danya, thank you. If anyone has any questions, as the report mentioned, please email. And next we'll move on to officer reports. Your officer reports will be limited to 3 minutes, since we have some time. First, we'll have a report of the president.
Hey, everyone. So this week I met with Arthur and John to discuss the constitutional amendments and the point system that Arthur already discussed. I also created a funding collaboration interest form because I was getting emails from other clubs regarding how they can get access to our resources for funding and collaboration. And so I created a form with Treasurer Mohammed, and you can send this to any club that you know that might want funding. I also met with the Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Engagement and all of his offices, which is CSI, Director of Fraternity and Sorority Life, as well as Student Engagement. And they're going to be adding a couple blurbs to both of their newsletters, one addressed to the student body and one addressed to all student orgs. And Abigail will be working on creating those. And then I also met with Michael and we discussed the recent events with gyms and Bar Louie, where, gyms has been open 24/7 for the past 50 plus years. And UIC is their landlord and is now making them close at 1 a.m. for safety concerns. So Michael and I actually met the owner of gyms today to discuss, what he was told, and he was contacted by an attorney representing UIC telling him that they have to close at 1 a.m. And during basically one of the busy hours where gyms is open from like 2 to 6 a.m., they're no longer open now. So they have to close at 1 a.m. and open at 6 a.m. And so we talked to the owner, Jim, to discuss ways that we could help him recoup some of those profits. And some ideas we threw around were maybe allowing for students to use the Starship machines to deliver food to the nearby dorms past their closing time. And then I also had Abigail update all of the meeting times and locations on the website. So that should be updated on there as well. And I will be meeting with CSI on Thursday at 10 a.m. and then Center for Student Leadership and Engagement on Thursday after that. So if anyone wants to attend those meetings, let me know. And then a big thanks for everyone that helped out with the involvement fair. I think it was a big success. So for everyone that was there, thank you. And I yield my time for questions.
Okay, with that, the report of the president will be filed. Next, we have the report of the vice president. I'll be holding up the sign at 1 minute, but.
Here we go. Okay, so quote of the day, every man is what he is because of the dominating thoughts which he permits to occupy his mind, by Napoleon Hill, a man who wrote How to Think and Grow Rich. Overall, just kind of pay attention to your attitude. I'm going to say kind of like what's like haunting you or what you're focusing on, but overall, with the report. So I helped manage both the virtual and the in-person booth during the involvement fair. I thought it was a success, like Anju said, and I'm excited to see which students will be coming for the interviews. Probably reached more than 50 students, but like the application date does end September 15th. We still have time, so please do continue working to tell people about USG and do remind them that they will have to come or attend our September 13th meeting at 6 p.m. Also, I work with John and Anshu on the bylaws and the Constitution and the impeachment process. The point system, as everybody saw, and it's over there. Tell you where to look, or if you want to see the original, it's over there. You can look at it. I have scheduled a meeting with the Chancellor on September 20th. Anshu and John will be attending that. The provost was 20th until I learned recently that apparently the time that we asked for was booked. So we will be meeting either on September 28th or September 30th. But he will be speaking at Student Center East Quad, September 14, between 3:30 and 5:30. And that's from what I can tell, open to everyone. I will be there. I recommend everybody here go there, talk to them, tell them about USG. Plus, it leaves a good image on us. But I am working to schedule another meeting with the UIC librarian. Tell me if you are interested in attending that with us. I'm open to asking. Also, I'm still continuing my research on the Green Bandana Project, and I do want to present that, my idea about making videos to prominent mental health orgs. I'm still working to contact other student governments, and I desire to contact Urbana-Champaign in particular because learn how they kind of implement a crisis counseling hotline on their back of their ID cards. But overall, I do plan on collaborating with other student groups to bring back another sort of thing that was lost from the pandemic, which was a national student issue convention, which are essentially town halls where we are going to be asking people, guest speakers, about important issues concerning colleges, campus life, safety, you name it. So if you're interested in helping out with that, please contact me. And also, I attended my second student advisory committee for the Illinois Board of Higher Education. We formed our executive branch, and I'll keep everybody contacted about how that goes. And last thing, which I learned about today, so the Dean of LAS is seeking students to join the LAS Dean Student Advisory Board. They meet 2 to 3 times per semester, and they serve as ambassadors for college. So if you're interested in joining that, look into it. And that's the end of my report.
Let's have some questions, but with that, if you guys have any questions, please email Arthur. With that, the report of the vice president will be filed. Next, we have the report of the treasurer.
Alrighty, can everyone hear me? All right, go ahead. Hello, everybody. I hope everyone's week has been really good. Over this past week, it has been a very productive week, to say the least. Firstly, I met with President Anshu to develop plans for our first Treasury Committee meeting upon admittance and placement of new representatives. I also, as President Anshu mentioned, developed the funding request forms. Please be noted that all organizations who want any refunding or any funding from USG must go through this form first before arranging any meetings with us. And obviously that meeting will take place before they present to the general body. We also are in the process of developing a committee handbook that will be available for everyone to understand the specifics and the operational guidelines. I'll also be working with Speaker Kayla on finalizing details for catering for future body meetings. The first food service is scheduled for the third general body meeting, but that is subject to change depending on how things go. But hopefully we can get that started very soon. I also worked with Chairwoman Danya to compensate UIC meetings and conferences department for room arrangements. Yes, I don't know if this is a new thing, but now we're paying for rooms and our meetings. The total will be $318. The resolution for it will be made and presented at the next general body meeting. I also worked with Chairman Matthew to complete the process for his resolution, which aims to provide supplies for students. Delivery is expected later this week and will be handed out the following week. With that being said, I also worked with Chairwoman Abigail to follow up on her resolution, which sought to advance USG's presence around campus through promotional materials. I think it'll be really effective, and hopefully it'll go well. And lastly, I have completed the deputy chairperson application for the Treasury Committee that will be handed out once the placements are done and whatnot. So I'm excited to see who applies, and I'm excited to welcome our new members. Thank you, and I yield for questions.
Why are they making us pay for this?
So I'm assuming it has something to do with the cost of cleaning the rooms due to COVID sanitizing, because maybe the advisor knows, but we used to not pay for rooms and now we are. So do you know where that cost is coming from?
I couldn't tell you exactly. They also looked at this past year, this type of surcharge. I know you're using CSI.
Yeah, definitely.
$26.50
Yeah.
per meeting. I think that's for the projector. Although I am questioning that now because I know the cardinal room, you don't need a chart. I just found that out today. There is no charge for the cardinal room or the projector. So I will be getting in contact with Thea Ward on this. She's the one that schedules or she reserves the rooms for USG. So I'm gonna talk to her about that because it's a little frustrating to now find that out today. So yes. Yeah, but like the cardinal room also has that. Yeah, there's like other organizations that schedule the other rooms, but like the costs vary, so I'm not sure why this one is specific. But again, at least
Yeah, I'll ask CSI during my meeting on Thursday.
Okay, if you guys have any more questions, please email Mohammed. Next, we have the report of the, with that, the report of the treasurer will be filed. Next, we have the report of the speaker, and I will time myself so I'm not being unfair. So this week was pretty much, besides normal tasks, it was pretty much all of involvement fair, doing involvement fair, sending out emails to interested members, answering questions. We had a lot of people reach out in terms of like what the application process is, what is USG, what does it mean to be on USG. I sent out an email that laid out the application process step by step because there are several steps, and just talking to people at the involvement fair was not as thorough as it could have been. So a lot of people were still kind of confused, which is understandable. And then I've also been processing applications that have been sent so far. And yeah, that was pretty much it. Involvement. Thank you guys to everyone that was at involvement fair and helped out and is continuing to like help with outreach and everything. Just a quick note going forward for all of you that do get emails from people that are sending the email that we require for people to reach out. If you can respond, if they have any questions, of course, please answer them. But I'll be sending out a step-by-step application, step-by-step information on the application so you guys can respond to them. Because some, like clearly no one's here today and people do have to attend one of the next meeting in order to be considered on the application. So I'll be sending that out so you guys can respond with that to people that email you. That is all. I yield my time for any questions. Yes.
In a speech, and then I also said that they could attend on Zoom or in person. I just want to
Okay.
check that that's fine.
Yes, that's fine. Just clarify that on September 20th is when they'll be attending for the speech. But I'll send you something. How many people have reached out to you?
3.
Oh, wow. Okay. But that's great. Yeah. So if you can email me their names and stuff, because I have to make sure that, I have a list of everyone that has done that so far. Yeah. Are there any more questions? Okay. With that, the report of the speaker will be filed. Next, we have the report of the chief of staff.
All right, can you guys hear me? Oh, I guess that means I can. All right. So, yeah, everybody else talked about involvement there, so I'll keep it quick. Yeah, we had really good traffic, lots of people who are interested. One thing that I will say though, that does not mean that all of them are going to remember to apply. And so please post on like your social media, share with all your friends, bother them, make sure they apply. We can fit up to 45 seats. And so please, let's try and fill them all. Yeah, involvement there. Also worked with Quentin to talk to a lot of the fraternity sorority life. And I walked around and I talked to them and, introduced them, just kind of told them what we're all about, that they should be more involved with us. And then I also worked with Matthew, and Matthew went around to a lot of the clubs, spread the word. Yeah, we have the meeting with the provost and chancellor scheduled that Arthur was mentioning. Yeah, as Arthur Ananchu mentioned, I worked on the point system, constitution and bylaws, and the government officiation resolution. And then I'm still waiting on some guidebooks from a lot of the board chairs. So yeah, guys, just let's try and coordinate on that so we can get that together before the new members join so that they can read that. We still have a bit of time, but just want to let you guys know that. So yeah, Anchi talked about Jim's original. And yeah, so that kind of was something that I wanted to start a larger conversation on. And I've been talking with some of the other e-board members, and I think that we should get started with moving towards the direction of potentially starting a task force on campus safety. Because the thing with gyms is it's a symptom more than the problem, and the problem is student safety on campus. And so I think that we should form a task force on it, include, work with UIC police, work with officials from CUPPA, because this is, I feel to a certain extent, as much, an urban planning and public administration issue as it is, a law enforcement issue. I think we should also include, many of our own chairs on that task force. But that's something that I kind of want to get rolling with, because, we've kind of seen a deteriorating situation, in the past, year or so, kind of on James M. Rochford Street, Halsted, and Maxwell. And so I think we should also reach out to the business owners there and just kind of get the ideas flowing, because the last thing we want is for a student to actually be hurt in one of these altercations. UIC invests a lot of money here for the students to be able to safely use these environments, and so I think it's something we should tackle. And then office supplies. So yeah, worked with Mohammed on that resolution. We'd like to hear from you guys, what you guys want to see. We also need to do paper, ink, and business cards. And so we may add that to the resolution once voting happens. Also, something that I just want you guys to think about that could potentially be an option. This is something that public affairs might have more of an opinion on, but do we want to change the printer? We currently do have a printer, but we do have the option of having UIC give us like a professional office printer. Like I said, it all depends on how often we're going to use it. This printer is perfectly fine if we're not using it too often, but UIC does offer a monthly fee, I believe, to have like an actual office printer, like you would find, if you've ever interned in an office, worked in an office, like you would find there, one that can fax, one that can make a bunch of copies very quickly, one that can make high quality color photos. And so that's just something to think about. Maybe it could be a point for discussion next meeting, or, you guys can just email me, let me know what you think of that. And then the office, we're starting to move into the office, new reps will be coming soon. I would love to have you guys' feedback and ideas on how we can more efficiently use the space. I've been talking with Anshu and Arthur about it, but I'd love to, once again, hear what you guys think of that. And yeah, that concludes my report. Please share the application as much as you can, and I yield my time if there is any left.
If you guys have any questions, please email John. There's some really great stuff about the office supplies and a bunch of stuff that I'm sorry we can't talk about. But anyways, with that, the report of the chief of staff will be filed. Next, we have the report of the diversity and inclusion committee chair.
Awesome. Okay, I'll try to go as quick as I can. And I'll get closer to the microphone too. Okay. So I have received a couple of emails from prospective members, actually 3, so I'm excited. And I look forward to having the committees formed. I also received updates from Kate Yoshida, who is the Sustainability Program Coordinator, regarding the e-scooter dog project. We did fund this project last semester, so it's nice to see where it's going. Kate said that the project is coming along slowly, but it's moving. That with a $4,000 budget constraint, the department was not able to get all 3 locations installed for dogs for e-scooters, because one of those needed a new concrete pad, which is quite costly. So they're only going to be putting 2. And then these are going to be located in the Daily Library and one in Halsted. In the last part of my report, you can also see the 2 locations where these are planned to be installed. If you have any feedback, please do let me know so I can reach out to Kate as soon as possible. And if there is maybe another position that you would like to have, then we can have that changed too. And then, as I mentioned last meeting, Kate Yoshida wants to discuss created the bicycle advisory committee, which has a lot of faculty. So she definitely wants USG to be attending. I became part of this meeting of this committee representing USG, but I will also be sharing more information with the members when they arrive, especially with my committee members, so we can all have more USG members attending this bicycle advisory committee. And then another of the projects that I will be discussing with Kate Yoshida soon is funding for DV memberships for students, or maybe just funding for students to be able to buy their own bicycle, or we can have something. I'm still thinking. So if you have any ideas, that would be great. And then also funding for the department, the sustainability department, to have biking gear for students. And these would be helmets, maybe logs, or anything like that. And then I am working on completing the guidebook for the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. I will be discussing more of this with our chief of staff. And then I plan on meeting with Matthew, the Student Success Committee chair, to discuss how we can collaborate and delegate our responsibilities. And then finally, Arthur shared information about a grad student that has completed research about UIC's Asian American community and their mental health needs here on campus. So I will be reaching out to this student to just learn more about that. And then if you have any questions, ideas, suggestions, please feel free to email me.
Great. Are there any questions? Comments? I think the Divi membership is a great idea. Are there any more questions? Okay. With that, Matthew.
I have a comment. I really like the DV idea because I'm charged $150 because I didn't put the bicycle back. Where'd you put it? In front of my house.
Oh, what?
No, some of them are gone. No, but the thing is, someone took it.
Oh.
That sounds like, all right, but I think it's a great idea.
Wait, but just 150?
Just
Because the thing is that if you lose it, they charge you 2,000.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
No, I called them, so I thought it was all right.
Oh my God. Yeah, like if it gets lost.
Okay, are there any more questions? Okay, with that, the report of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee Chair will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Legislative Affairs Committee.
So, yeah. Michael told me to read his. So, let me scroll down. All right. So yeah, Michael scheduled to meet with Dr. Maggiat. His meeting is this Friday, and he will report on what is said next meeting. He created a draft for legislation regarding civic engagement at UIC. He scheduled a meeting with the Student Leadership and Civic Engagement Office, which is right next to us. And so he's going to ask for feedback on that. And he's also collaborated with VP Arthur to receive more feedback as well as next steps. Similarly to what Anshu talked about, basically same thing. He emailed Jim's original to regarding the hour mandate, and he also met with them today, which Anshu summarized. And then he also met with Anshu, Arthur, Matthew to brainstorm ideas and future projects.
And something I want to add on, he was telling me about this civic engagement draft that he's working on. It's basically just to give UIC students and faculty a day off on voting days so that they can have a chance to vote. And that's basically what it is. But, you know, whenever he presents it in front of the body, he can answer more specific questions regarding that.
Are there any questions? I have a question. Don't we already have a day off for voting?
We have voting days
I
off?
think-
Were we of school?
I think
No.
we're excused from classes.
That must be somewhat new then.
Yeah, like as in like,
Presidential voting days.
oh, so for all,
I'm
It's
sure
not-
Whether local.
okay. Okay, cool.
He might be trying to expand.
Yeah. Are there any more questions? Okay, with that, the report of the Legislative Affairs Committee Chair will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Public Affairs Committee Chair.
Hi, guys. Before I do my first point, I'll talk about the other ones because I want to have a little tiny discussion about the first point. So there were a few new social media posts that went up this weekend. Vice President Arthur gave me a lot of ideas about different events happening around campus. So if you see anything that piques your interest, just send me an email about it. And I'll get that up on the social media. I also made a post about a little involvement fair recap. The last time when I wrote my report, there were only 8 applicants, but last time I checked, there were 12, and there's definitely probably more than that now. So the word is definitely spreading based on our increase in Instagram followers. We have an increase in like 25 followers in the past few days. So that's great. Just spread those posts around, repost to your story. It tells you a little bit about the application and the description of photos. So just spread that around. As for regarding the flyers and brochures, I was wondering, just a little discussion here. The funding has been sent over, so we're just finalizing the drafts of the visuals. And I was thinking that we should take the date of the application off so that if we have extras of the flyers and brochures, we can use it for other times other than September 15th, 2021. So if anyone has an opinion on that, let me know. But I think it would be best in our interest of being able to use the flyers more than just now to take off the date of the application.
Responses to her question?
Yeah, I think I like that idea. Maybe just including like the website URL or like where they could find the application. Like applications are on, the website, so like they can see if it's open or not. Like
Okay.
regard- we'll have it.
Okay. And then I'll be sending over that final draft tonight to printing, and then we'll get that process going. And
Are
that's
there
all I
any-
have.
Are there any more comments or questions?
I also like the idea.
Okay. Okay, with that, the report of the Public Affairs Committee Chair will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Student Success Chair.
Okay, so my quote is advocacy is at its core an exercise in empathy. So yeah, interpret that as you want. So I met with Janet. First thing I want to mention is that I asked her to follow up with her connections with the other U of I system student governments. So Arthur, if you're still contacting them, I have a direct introduction with them. So hopefully they'll respond this week. So in terms of the grant that I inquired to her over summer, the grant is focused on the health and sciences, similar to the OER program we have currently, but it's with more money as $60,000, up to $60,000 that faculty can apply to. And she would like to have USG help spread awareness of the program, probably with students and faculty. And additionally, we've been talking about this since last year, last semester, about a faculty award for OER. And she wants to do this with USG. So I do have a document explaining what that would look like, but I did not attach it here because I would hope to present that when we have more representatives, because we only have just us here in this Zoom room. And I also talked about Anshu's idea of buying the most common textbooks, providing them to the library to rent them out. And so I am going to meet with her tomorrow. And I met with the art assistant director for education outreach. We're going to collaborate now more closely to expand job opportunities and internships with students, specifically Asian American students. And she will help promote USG events and initiatives. And I told her that we will do the same with theirs. And I've contacted the graduate assistant at the African American Cultural Center. Again, these initiatives, I'll collaborate with Daniela and hopefully talk about that this week. Another thing it's not in my report, but I've received an email from the Director of Sustainability. He mentioned he would like to come to our meeting and talk about opportunities and things that the department is doing, because he is newly hired. So I'll reach out to him about that. And I'm starting to work on the student experience survey this week, hopefully get it out in the upcoming weeks. I would like to do this with my committee, but I just want to get this out fast. So those who would like to help out are welcome, and I yield for questions.
Oh, great job. With that, are there any questions for Matthew? Okay, and with that, the report of the Student Success Committee Chair will be filed. We have no report from the Campus Life Committee Chair this week. So our next order of business will be announcements. Are there any announcements? Okay, our next order of business is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn.
There has been a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Great, it has been moved in second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All that opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? Great. Our meeting is now adjourned at 7:32 PM. Great.